Welcome to Internices. I'm Sky. In this video, I'd like to tell you about Ironcast, which is a new game that comes out on March 26th, which should be today when this video goes up. I don't usually record live commentary like this. I generally just don't think I'm very good at it, but Ironcast is the kind of game that I think is easier to understand if you see someone play it and listen to their thought process as they do so. This is a game that was developed by Dreadbit in collaboration with Polygon Heart, and it was kickstarted just a couple of months ago. Very quick turnaround, very small development team, and they've done a very nice job with it. They didn't ask for a lot of money. They got what they wanted, and they turned out a very nice product. What this is, it bills itself as basically Puzzle Quest meets FTL, and I have to say that description is really quite accurate. The moment-to-moment gameplay is basically a match 3 game, but you're not actually thinking in terms of a match 3 game, you're thinking in terms of resource management over the course of a longer campaign. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's a game that has perma-death, so when you start a campaign, you're in it for the long haul, and if you lose a fight, you lose the campaign. That's the end of it. But there is a global unlock. You gain experience as you play campaigns, whether you win or lose, and you unlock new commanders, new Ironcasts, which are the walking mech suits that your commander pilots. And you get stat perks as well as you go along, as well as new abilities. So I'm going to show you the beginning of a new campaign and explain how the whole thing works. Now, I'm not going to show you, I've unlocked all the characters, but I'm not going to show you the details for the last one, because I think that every game should have a few secrets. I don't want to give it all away. But I have played for about 7 hours, and I've unlocked all of the characters and Ironcasts that seem to be available. Now, this is the character you start with, Aries Powell, and I actually think I like her the best. Everybody has a different ability, and her ability is that if you match 6 or more energy nodes, you get to reduce the cost of your shield or drives, and that is actually very, very helpful. Here's a guy who has a similar situation going on with ammo nodes, and that increases the chance of overdrive, which basically means that the weapon might do a little bit more the next time you fire it. It's not nearly as universally reliable and helpful as her ability is. And then she has something similar going on with repair nodes, which is pretty helpful, but it's a little more defensive. I think the best defense in this game is good offense. So I do like her. There's a lot of writing in this game, particularly in these bios here, as you can see. Pretty long. It's kind of funny that the cast of characters reminds me a bit of Transistor in that they're all sort of hyper-achieving socialites that make you feel really bad about yourself. But it doesn't have the kind of charm that you find in Transistor. It's most of the writing is fairly straightforward, but from time to time there are flashes of humor. For example, there's this one mission where you are supposedly collecting important resources for the war effort. By the way, in case you haven't realized it yet, there's a war on between Britain and France in the late 1800s. It's a war over a resource called voltite. The French didn't want to share it, evidently. So there's this mission in which you're collecting resources for the war effort, and it turns out that the resources are crates of tea leaves. And your character questions why this was so important, and her commanding officer responds that she must be delirious. Perhaps she should take a break and enjoy some of the resources she just gathered. It can be funny at times, but it's so fleeting that it's kind of strange when it happens, because for the most part it plays itself straight. Nonetheless, it's fun, it's charming. It's just, basically I'm saying don't expect too much in that area. You'll see as we get into it. So that's the character that I've chosen, and then here are the Ironcast mechs that I can choose for my campaign. You can't change your character or your Ironcast as you go forward. I'm, again, not going to show you the last one that I've unlocked. There's nothing particularly, outstanding about it. They all seem to, they all have balanced trade-offs, but I don't want to give everything away. So I think this suit is actually the best complement for Commander Powell, because it really focuses on energy. I have actually not played with this one yet. I have played the campaign 3 or 4 times. I have not managed to defeat the boss. Come close. I'll have to take my word for it, but I haven't managed to defeat it yet. From what I understand, after you finish the campaign, another campaign begins with a shorter, more compressed time span. So anyway, this is the Ironcast that you start the game with. It has its own special ability that fires missiles that hit random systems on the enemy Ironcast, or the enemy steam train. I think they're called steam tanks, something like that. You'll see. They basically look like locomotives. This is a pretty good starter system. I like this Ironcast. I tried playing with this one a couple of times, and I didn't do as well. It has a nice sounding ability, but I don't know, for whatever reason. Maybe it's the starting weapons, the shotgun and the shot coils, which are both weapons that use a bit of splash damage. It didn't work for me as well. Anyway, I think we're going to go with the Arundel, because I think that there's going to be some good synergy for the high energy and this particular ability. The next energy-based weapon to be fired will ignore 75% of the enemy's shield strength. If you go back, if we look at Ares Powell again, her ability, part of it is that the damage of all energy-based weapons is boosted by 10%. So that seems to synergize well with the Arundel's particular ability. So let's get started. I'm bypassing the tutorial. There's no need for you to sit through that. There is a bit of story stuff that happens, not much, and as you go through the campaign, all the story stuff is basically, it's more or less the same every time. You will choose missions as you play. Every time you go to mission select, you can choose from one of 3 missions, and they all have different setups, and the dialogue that takes place during them is all a little bit different. They have slightly different premises and conditions for winning, but usually you want to defeat the enemies. Sometimes there are other things like just hold out for a certain number of turns, but usually you're defeating someone. And to be honest, after playing the campaign a few times, there really isn't a lot of diversity in the kind of writing that you're going to encounter. Basically, the campaign feels more or less the same every time you play it, unlike something like FTL, where every time you play FTL, you encounter such a wide variety of events that it feels very different. That said, the real diversity of the campaign comes in what kind of equipment you find. So here we're looking at the starting setup for the Arundel. It comes with this pulse repeater, which is a good weapon. I actually, the last campaign I played, where I got the closest I've gotten so far to beating the final boss, I had a pulse repeater Mark II at the end of it, which is not a great place to wind up. Just a Mark II weapon, not even a rare. There are rare weapons, higher quality weapons, like, Diablo style. But Mark II you wouldn't think would be that great, but I actually had a lot of success with the pulse repeater. So this seems like a good weapon to start with. And here we have an energy lance. They're both energy-based weapons. There are also projectile-based weapons. Those are the two. That's the dichotomy: projectile and energy. Not a lot of qualitative significant difference between the two. This is, as you can see, a single-shot weapon that does high damage to a single target, and this is a rapid-fire, low damage weapon. generally will get more damage out of a rapid fire weapon like this than you will out of a single shot like this. But if the enemy has have shields up, then you are going to have a hard time piercing through them with the low damage rapid fire. You also have drives, which is what helps you to walk, and walking increases your evasion. You know, in video games in general, archetypally speaking, I always enjoy evasion as a thing, but in this game so far, I've been focusing on shield use rather than evasion. I seem to get a lot more out of that. It's just kind of hard in general for me to justify the expenditure of energy in the middle of a battle for 8% evasion. It doesn't feel significant. So until I get an upgraded drive system, I just tend to save the energy. I just bank it until my next turn so I can raise up my shields. As you play through the campaign, you get money, which is this right here. It's called scrap. You can gain it in a variety of ways I'll talk about during the mission. And you gain war assets. War assets, there's a limited amount of time before you have to confront the final boss of the campaign. You have 9 days for the initial campaign. I understand that the second campaign is 6 days, and I guess the one after that is 3. I'm not really sure. But for this initial campaign, you have 9 days, which means you can complete 9 missions before you have to confront that boss. Every time you gain a war asset, so like look at this mission, you gain war assets for defeating this mission. That actually contributes to bringing down the initial health of the final boss. It's certainly helpful, but I tend to focus on scrap as much as possible as my reward of choice, because scrap allows me to improve my Ironcast. Right now, I don't have anything I can build, but as I defeat enemies, I will find blueprints for upgrades to the equipment that I just showed you, and there are also these generic upgrades that I can buy at any time. So plus 50 to hull armor, not that important, but I find that the most useful things are the energy capacitor upgrade and the ammo chamber upgrade, which allow your tank to hold more energy and ammo respectively. You can also do the same with coolant and repair, but I never really find myself wanting for those. Sometimes coolant, but usually I will get an ability that will help me with that, and this is where the abilities are. This is the character ability that I told you about, which is, again, that her shield or drives activations will cost less if you match 6 or more energy nodes at once. You also gain more abilities as your character levels up from gaining experience throughout the campaign, and your Ironcast similarly has its own ability, and then more abilities that you can get, and you can swap these out as you gain more than 3 each. And then there are also augmentation abilities for the weapons. So there's a lot going on here, and it's really fun and satisfying to find out what you're going to get as you go through a campaign. But it's also, there's a lot of luck to it as well. If you're familiar with FTL, you are probably familiar with the fact that some campaigns are going to go better than others in terms of how well prepared you are for defeating the final boss. And this game is no different in that respect. Sometimes you'll just find better stuff and be better prepared in the end. So generally, all 3 of these first fights are the same, pretty much. You just, fight one guy, and they're all really easy just for this one first fight. I generally tend to go with whatever has the highest rewards, 125 and 520, 125, 530, and 150, 545. So I'll be fighting this battle, following the bombing of several of our key military installations. A convoy of enemy steam tanks. Okay, so you'll see a steam tank rather than an enemy Ironcast in this one. Destroy it within the time limit. Usually there's a time limit of 10 turns. Sometimes it's 6 turns, depends on if you're collecting resources or trying to survive an enemy onslaught. At that point, the location estimate. It's okay if you lose a mission. It doesn't mean you've lost the campaign. It just means you won't get as many rewards. So, let's take a look at the game. Now, all of this stuff that we've been talking about, this is what you're really thinking about for the most part as you're playing. You're not really, I mean, you're focused on the fight moment to moment, but it's not your primary concern. Your primary concern is long-term. You have long-term goals of getting better before the time is up and you have to fight that boss. That's what it all comes down to. I find this map, this background a little distracting. There's a lot of kind of flickering that I think is supposed to be from naval battles happening in the background, but like the sky flickers and it's kind of distracting. There's some nice, it's a nice looking game for what it is. It's a little bit flat, but it has some really nice animations and punch and sound effects in the battles themselves. So she's telling me that the fellow who walked me through the tutorial unfortunately didn't make it, which is sad. I kind of liked him. Alright, so this is an enemy steam tank. This is the playing field. Notice that I am not pressed for time right now. This is a match 3 game where I want to put similarly colored tiles together in combinations of 3 or more, but I am not pressed for time. They are not falling from the top of the screen. It is not going to continually move down. I'm not going to be assaulted by the enemy as I sit here and talk to you. Everything is fine. That said, we do have a limited number of moves we can make. We have 3 turns, which means that we can make 3 matches of our nodes here, I guess is what they're called. Over here we have overdrives. I'll explain those in a minute. These are our active abilities. That's the one that comes with the Ironcast by default. And then up here we have commands that I'll explain as we get started. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just collect these because I see them easily available, and I'm getting an overdrive along with them. You can see as I connect the dots here, nothing happens until I get to 3, and as I increase my chain, not only does the amount of resource that I gather increase, but so does the amount of experience that I get from making the match. So that done, I now have my ammo counter maxed out. Again, this mech, the Arendelle, has a much smaller ammo tank than all of the others, actually. This has the smallest ammo tank of all of them. We are more interested in energy right now so that we can get our shields up. See, larger energy tank. Now, you can't fire a weapon on your first turn. They are charging up. If you fight a mission where there are multiple enemies, as you switch from one enemy to the next, you can fire on your first turn with that enemy, but on your first turn of the entire mission, you can't. First thing I want to do is raise my shields, and you'll see that the cost for doing so is decreased to 2 from a default of 3 because, again, of Lady Powell's ability, which is that if you collect more than 6 nodes of energy, your next shield or drive cost is decreased. So there's some shields, there's some more shields, and there's a lot of shields. That's a really high number for basic starting out equipment. Okay, I can make one more match here. I'm just going to clear away some of the rubbish from the board. I generally really don't care much about the repair nodes. They allow you to repair your subsystems as they take damage. You can target individual systems on your enemy, and the enemy can target individual systems on your Ironcast as well. And you'll be in quite a pickle if, for example, your shields go down to 0 and get destroyed and you can't use them anymore. So that's where repair stuff comes in handy. But for the most part, because I have an offensive playing style, I find that they are just in my way. Coolant nodes can certainly be important, but usually by the later parts of the campaign, I have an ability that allows me to instantly refill my coolant and don't really care about them. So there are things that get in the way. These are salvage. I'll just show you. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. That would be stupid. But salvage allows you to make these matches during a battle. Even though it's useless for the battle, it increases your earnings and lets you make upgrades later. So I'm just going to clear this away, and now we can't do anything else here. And well, you can't target anything anyway, so we're just going to say that our turn is done and see what he does. Okay, that's a powerful single target shot. It's doing a little bit of damage to my defenses, but not very much. In any battle other than this first one, that would be a little bit more significant, but he's just got a Mark 1 energy lance and a Mark 1 shot cannon. I'm not very worried about that. That's going to have trouble getting through my shields because it's a spread kind of weapon. Each shot of the attack only does 30 to 35 damage. That's not too intimidating because I always have my shields pretty high. Every turn you take, your shields and your walking that you have activated decrease by 1 pip, shall we say. So you always obviously want to make an effort to increase your shields every turn. And I suppose you want to plan ahead as you clear the board, but I usually am pretty bad at that. I'm not going to do that because I haven't spent. So if I were to connect these ammo nodes right now, it would be a waste because I can't hold anymore. So the first thing I'm going to do is fire. And I want to take out this energy lance because that's the most threatening thing for me. I could use single target or my repeater. He doesn't have a shield up, so there's no reason not to use my repeater. Okay, you can see a fire going there, which tells me that I've knocked it out. So now I might as well take out the shot cannon if I can. I'm not the greatest match 3 player in the world, so, you know, don't get critical of me or anything like that. Raise my shields up a little bit more. I can start walking as well, even though it doesn't really mean a lot to me. And, oh, what the hell, I'll show you this weapon as well. This is the single shot. Again, I think that the sound effects and animations in this game are actually pretty satisfying. I mean, this is not an expensive game, and it was not made for a lot of money, but they did a really nice job with the production. Everything feels pretty solid. If your coolant runs out, and you spend coolant every time you fire a weapon, or every time you activate a system, your drives or your defenses, it spends a little bit of coolant. And if you activate something when your coolant is at 0, you can still use it, but it will damage all your stuff. It will damage all your systems and your hull, which is what really matters. Not like the individual health of these systems. They don't add up to be your total health or anything. The only thing that really matters is your hull. It's completely separate. So I do want to collect some coolant. I don't really like my board at all right now. This is kind of terrible, so I'm just going to clear some of this crap out of my way. Might as well spend this repair. Costs 5 repair to repair a subsystem, and it does a percentage of the overall life bar. So not a whole lot I can do right now. I'm just gonna wait. Let's check on that weapon. So they're constantly repairing themselves. You always have to change your target, and if you knock out their most dangerous weapon, you are going to have to do it again repeatedly, which can be... Oh, he's already dead. I forgot how easy the first fight is. So that's victory. Okay, these are our rewards for the battle. Okay, these are the rewards that are dictated by the mission itself, and then bonuses that we get from our matching. I did collect some scrap from that, but it's mostly going to be XP unless you grab those yellow blocks. And then for actually defeating enemies, you get individual rewards as well. So all that's up, and we're going to get a level up from this, I think. There we go. You typically find that you level up with every battle. And then hopefully, yes, we got some upgrades we can make, although I don't think I'm going to be able to afford it right now. So these are both improvements. I don't want to use this. It's not an energy weapon, but this is, and this will be an improvement. It costs, I believe, $750 to build these Mark II items. I'm probably going to have to spend a little bit to repair my hull, so I'm not going to, and I don't have enough anyway. Alright, so let's level up. click here and you can choose, first of all, you get a health increase. The amount by which your health is increased with every level up actually increases as you level up outside the campaign globally from completing campaigns, whether you live or die. So, let's see. That's pretty good. Shield dampener. That could be useful, certainly. I don't ever want my coolant reserves to get empty because I'm hurting myself at that point, so that's not good at all. I think I'll take this one. Because this particular Ironcast really needs a little bit of work in the offense department. So as you can see here, I have these blueprints. Particular interest in this one. The Energy Lance Mark II, and here's a comparison view. It just cycles through your two weapons. So as you can see, 101 to 77 is certainly an improvement. I can't build it now. Costs $750, and I have $685. But this is what you're thinking about as you play through the campaign. Oh, and here's the ability that I just picked up. So I'll show you during a battle. I tend to go for the hard missions whenever possible. Sometimes I will overstep my bounds and bat above my average. I don't know idioms, leave me alone. I have gotten killed and lost campaigns trying to do the hard battles. It happens, but the rewards are much better, so it's usually, and I've done this particular mission every single time, so I know what I'm in for. A kind of odd thing about playing through the campaign is that as you decide what missions you want to choose, you're not just looking at the scrap and war asset rewards. You also need to keep in mind that every time you defeat an enemy, you stand a chance of gaining blueprints, and the most important thing in the entire game is probably getting as much improved equipment as you can manage to find. So the trick really, I think, is to try to figure out, looking at the mission descriptions, how many mechs you're up against potentially, how many enemy Ironcasts or enemy steam tanks. The more you can kill in every mission, the more stuff you can find, basically. This is a link node. This allows me to allows me to jump a match from one type of node to a different type of node. So I can do this and collect both of these at once. Raise my shields. This is a Warwick. This has higher defensive capabilities and a little bit more focus on... I believe it has a higher ammo reserve than energy reserve. That's the one that I didn't really like very much. Wow, this is a problem that I have with the game. When I see a match like this, I kind of can't help myself. I really want to grab all this just because it's such a big match and it feels inherently rewarding to me to take it. I do get some experience from this, but all of that ammo is going to be wasted because my ammo is already full. This is a stupid thing to do. But I'm gonna do it anyway. I can't stop myself. This is really junk that I don't need right now, but... Okay, and this allows me... Yeah, I can't do that right now. I forgot about this last mission. Okay. Let's see what's going on. This should be a little more difficult than our last one, especially since it's on hard. It's a hard mission. He's got a heavy cannon that does 2 tough shots. So that is probably... Yeah, this light cannon is not going to be much of a threat to me once I get my shields high enough. But this is going to be a problem because this will be powerful enough to punch through my shields no matter how well I do. But you can see it's a little bit more deadly than the last opponent we faced. I don't really like any of these options, but I'm going to have to use my energy lance because my repeater is just going to bounce off his shields. And because he's walking, I stand a chance to miss, especially with this single shot. That's the trade-off you make. When an opponent is walking, it's better to use a rapid-fire weapon because you have more chances of hitting. If you fire a single shot salvo, then you have a chance of missing the entire, the entire burst because it's just one shot and they're walking. So, what I really want is to get some energy and get my shields up, but I don't have a lot of good options for that right now. So I might as well clear this up. Maybe I'll get some energy, okay, that's not great. Alright, well, I've knocked out his cannon. He's probably going to repair it, but I've knocked it out for now. And there's nothing I can do to stop him from repairing it, so as long as I keep my shield up, I'm not particularly threatened by his other weapon. I'm being rather sexist calling this enemy mech a he. There's no reason to think that. Okay, maxed out my shield, such as it is with this early starting shield. I might as well repair this. Again, I'm gathering way more ammo than I can actually carry. For every 1,000 scrap that I gain, that is not... I'm going to change my subsystem target. For every 1,000 scrap that I gain that I don't spend on blueprints, I can spend on increases to these tanks, so I can increase them by 1 each and potentially gain more ammo. See? That's what I'm talking about. That's very upsetting. That's all I can do now. I should use those. I keep forgetting about that. So he's repaired his heavy cannon there, but fortunately, I guess they didn't gather enough resources to fire it in the same turn. I want to get rid of this crap. There we go. That's pretty nice. Okay. Get my shield up. Now I want some ammo, but unfortunately I don't have a lot of it on the board. Yeah, not much I can do here. I'm just gonna collect this coolant for now. So I actually can't fire this turn. That's unfortunate. It can be frustrating sometimes. It's all, I mean, there's a lot of luck involved. The first time that I fought the final boss, I managed to get myself into a situation where I really needed to disable his weapon. He has a very powerful single-shot energy lance weapon that will easily pierce through your shields, and I just could not get any ammo on my board that would allow me to take the shot that I needed to do that. So that stuff can be frustrating for sure. I'm not very good at planning ahead as I do this. I'm gonna waste this node. I really want the ammo. No, actually that would be a bad idea. I'll do those. So after you use a link node, you don't actually have to match 3 of the next node. You can match, for example, I can match these 3 ammo nodes and then use the link and then take these 2 energy. It doesn't have to be 3 energy after the link. So that's nice. Alright, let's actually use our abilities for a change. I better repair this weapon. I can get an additional shot, which will be really powerful with my single shot weapon. And this is going to, wow, this is going to ignore 75% of the enemy's shield strength. That's going to be pretty good. So this should be a very powerful attack. Let's make sure we target it at something useful. Yeah, let's hit the defenses. I like that. Nice. Knocked out his shields. Unfortunately, I can't fire again on this turn, but hopefully they won't manage to repair them. Good. Walking actually helped me there. Very rarely do I manage to evade any shots. Again, this number here is what we need to be actually worried about. Alright. This guy did not bring his shields back up. So let's go for the kill. Now, I happen to know that this mission is not yet over, and that can be a bit of a problem sometimes because, as I mentioned before, most missions have a time limit of 10 turns. So if you don't complete your objectives by the time, your time limit is up, you're not going to get as many rewards. And sometimes missions have little wrinkles in them where there are additional opponents, surprise, surprise, that you have to fight. So here, our turncoat enemy has some friends in this steam train that we're going to have to fight. Steam tank? I forgot what it's called. Need to make sure my shield is up. No, there's nothing I can really do there. Okay, and because we've switched opponents, is because it's not the first turn of the mission, we can still fire our weapons, although this person has not had a chance to do anything. So let's see what they've got. Mark 1 weapons again, because we're early in the campaign. Mark 0 armor. This is not at all threatening, so I'm going to focus on the missile launcher because it has a little bit more punch, and that splash damage can be nasty when it gets through. So, they don't have shields at all, they have armor. These tanks have armor instead of shields, which means that I can use my repeater as much as I want. Now, I think it was just a message here that said something about an overcharge. Oh, I was overheating, I didn't notice. Oh, jeez. Okay, this is what happens when you do live commentary, folks. Boy, won't it be embarrassing if they take me out. Alright. I think I can finish him off with this. When I'm not talking, I tend to play pretty quickly. The missions don't take long. Honestly, there's more time spent in between missions than in missions themselves, thinking about which mission I should take next, or trying to sort out my upgrades and figure out how best to spend my money. You know what, I shouldn't say that there's more time. It's probably about even. One more shot should take him out. Oh, and there we go. Rotten hell, Blake. Job well done. So I got 2 level ups at once on that one, probably because it's higher XP due to it being a hard mission. Although I did get I got more experience from my matching bonuses, come to think of it. So making those wasteful long combos actually does seem to make a difference. I don't particularly want either of these weapons for this Ironcast mech. Some characters I would be very happy to have this, but for this guy, for Arundel here, and the Lady Powell combination, I am not particularly interested in projectile weapons. So I think that gives you a pretty good idea of what the game is like. As I said, it's not as robust and diverse as an FTL campaign, but it scratches the same kind of itch, and combining that long-term strategy focus with the gameplay you find in Puzzle Quest, it is actually a pretty satisfying combination. So I'm quite enjoying this. It comes out the day that this video goes up, which is March 26th. You can find it on Steam. You can probably find it other places as well. I apologize for not having that information available. Again, live commentary, don't usually do this. This is a really good ability. This hampers the enemy's ability to repair, and that's really nice because my favorite strategy is to knock out the most threatening weapon. And if they can just repair that at will, it kind of defeats the purpose. Yeah, that would definitely be the one I go for. And then here, okay, you can get general specializations that are for your character rather than for your Ironcast, and these affect what kind of nodes spawn on the board. I would not get this one, but you can get one for ammo or energy or something. I've never seen this before, actually. All shots from the next weapon to fire will be unable to miss. That is awesome. That is really, really cool. And this is an augmentation for the drives. So the chance of your drives automatically going to overdrive when activated is increased by 5%. This would slot in right here. And I actually don't really think it's terribly good. That's not a very significant improvement. I mean, there's only a 5% chance of it doing anything, and when it does do something, it isn't going to do all that much. I mean, overdrive activating on your walking systems, which only do like 5 or 10% evasion, is not going to make that much of a difference, so I wouldn't go for that. And then we would repair and see how much money we have left, and now we can upgrade this energy weapon here. Buy that. Back out, and here is our energy lance. We're just going to drag and drop that right in. So that's the one we have equipped. This is the improvement. And voila. We are now a better, stronger Ironcast. So, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you like it, please click the rate up button and tell your friends and subscribe and all that good stuff. I'd very much appreciate it. I've got a lot of other stuff on my channel. Please feel free to check it out. Some of it is commented, some of it is not. None of it is really, well, very little of it is live like this. I hope this has been tolerable at the very least, and thank you for watching. Check out Ironcast.